Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, everybody. Whatever time it is, I hope it's good. My name is Benjamin Lehman. I am a co-founder of Warrior Beat, and I am here right now. This other person here on the screen with me, this is Trevor Meyer. He's a former Navy corpsman, and he is also the co-founder and the brainchild of Warrior Beat. So, Trevor, what's going on?
All right. Hello, everybody. Great to be with you, like Ben said, on this morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you choose to watch this. But yeah, we're just here to talk today a little bit, give you some background about Warrior Beat and talk about all the awesome things that we've been doing. Really, over the past, we've been doing this now since 2016. Hard to believe. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary of all of our drums showing up for us to get things off the ground. And here we sit today, 5 years later, in VA hospitals across the country, live streaming to veterans across the country on a weekly basis, and working with VA employees through live streams too to help keep their mind, body balanced and energized during these difficult times.
Yeah, so you said right there, you just said it's been 5 years since we've celebrated getting all of our drums. But when we talk about getting drums, what is it exactly that we're doing with all these drums that we're getting?
Sure, yeah. So, Warrior Beat, 501c3, and our focus is working with veterans with PTSD, with different physical, emotional needs. And what we do this through professionally facilitated group drumming, which is a fancy way of saying through facilitated drum circles.
Exactly. So the whole concept was a long time ago. Oh man, I mean, like 5 years really does feel like a long time ago. But I remember
Does.
like I got this call from Trevor, and Trevor's a musician. He's from New York. I am an more of a visual artist. I am from San Francisco. We both just happened to move back. We got family here in Ohio, so we sort of moved back and came together. And at one point, Trevor's like, "Hey, I got this idea. I want to create." He's like, I have mental health issues that I'm working through, and I've decided to maybe like start to incorporate the arts into not only my own health but also the health of all veterans. And he started to lay out this roadmap. And Trevor, I'm going to let you sort of explain this here in a second, but I just remember that call where you sort of laid it out for me. And I think like, I was really just waiting for you to just stop talking to say, yes,
Right.
I want to do this. This sounds amazing.
For
And
sure.
so, I'm going to let you get into that here in just a second, but it really is like this amazing thing where, and it's very much a buzzword now. So it's really weird. Like when we talk about it, and I don't mean to sound like a hipster, but 5 years ago, when you said, "Hey, we're going to start introducing art therapy as a way to reach out to people who are maybe falling through the cracks, people who are feeling completely disenfranchised, people who are not being included." Mental health is very strange. Like if you break a knee or you have a knee replacement, well, guess what? I've got a roadmap for you. I can tell you exactly how we're going to address that knee. With mental health, if you've struggled with it or anybody else who has struggled with it, you understand that roadmap doesn't exist. The brain, the way the brain works, our personalities, we're all just different. Everybody's knees work the same, but everybody's mind is different. So, we are this beautiful little like tooth on a cog, right? This big
Hmm.
gear that is just sort of helps the whole machine run smoother. And with that, I'm going to just go ahead and let you, Trevor, just sort of describe kind of what made you decide to do what we're doing.
Sure. No, that's yeah, absolutely. And you definitely alluded towards this too. I went through a mental health inpatient rehab program at the Cleveland VA in 2015, and I was struggling with substance abuse and mental health issues, most particularly with severe depression and withdrawal, anxiety, and my drinking had gotten out of control. So, I went talked to my mental health professional at the VA, and they recommended this program in Cleveland. Thankfully, there was a bed open in this program, and so I took that opportunity and went to this 30-day rehab. It's called the VARC program, Veterans Administration Rehabilitation Center, which is in Cleveland, and I know every major VA is going to have one of these too. And first of all, it was a tremendous experience. I definitely was ready to get on the road to wellness, which always makes a difference in your recovery. But when you want to do something and you put your mind to it, the experiences usually are going to meet or exceed your expectations. So, but I did notice one thing while I was there. Again, like Ben talked about, he and I are both artists, lifelong, and both of us are lifelong drummers. And so I took a practice pad and a pair of sticks, with me, and In the evening times, there wasn't a whole lot going on. So during the day, the program was incredibly well structured, and you're going from group sessions to individual therapy sessions to small group sessions, activities, all this. But then when everyone goes home at 4 o'clock, the VA kind of became just a ghost town. So we had 100 people living in this domiciliary from different programs with really nothing to do except sit there and fight over the TV, which is pretty much what happened every evening. And so I had my practice pad, and I was just kind of sitting in one of the private lounges tapping away, and veteran peek his head in and be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I explained to him, I'm a drummer. Oh, and he'd say, "I used to play. I was a guitar player before I went in the Army." Or, you know what, I had a drum set when I was a kid, maybe played in a marching band. And, kind of started to dawn on me that there's a lot of veterans who had some type of creative endeavor, maybe not trying to be a professional artist, but, found some enjoyment playing a musical instrument of some point before going into the service, and then set that aside, to go in and serve their country. And, my therapist basically put it to me. She said, how are you going to continue to express your passion for drumming, but not put yourself in high-risk situations like playing bars and clubs? And I was burnt out on that scene anyway. So that was, but it was a great question. And as that course of that 30 days developed, I took that to heart and realized that group drumming would be incredibly effective for veterans, whether it be PTSD, substance abuse, anxiety, depression disorders, physical disorders. That the drum would give a creative outlet, a form of expression for people who a lot of times have a hard time, verbalizing how they're feeling. So once I finished my program and I got home, I had this thought, and I came up with this idea of warrior beat. And I knew I wanted it to be hip. I wanted it to look cool. And basically it was my goal to take the hippie out of the drum circle, because in the veteran circles, the hippie drum circle, right there, that's can be a triggering event for, especially for like veterans in the Vietnam era, where the counterculture was actively rooting against them in that war and spitting on them, throwing stones at them, insulting them when they got back from service in Vietnam. I knew that in order to bring this healing power of drumming, we had to be very smart about it and kind of astute in our approach. And I needed it to be hip, and I needed it to speak to the veterans. And like Ben said, we had been friends for a while, and I knew the depth of his creativity. So I thought, I want to start a nonprofit because I can't afford to buy all the drums I want to have these drum circles. So I want to get a grant. In order to get a grant, you got to be a nonprofit. And then I'm like, I want something hip looking for the logo. And so I'm like, Ben's the master. I'm going to reach out to Ben. And so I make that phone call, but then Ben brings this entirely different skill set to the table outside of the arts, and that's the technology. So over the course of that conversation, Ben asks, like, well, how are we going to reach homebound veterans who can't or won't go into the VA? And it turns out Ben was designing some of the first, if not probably the first live streaming platform in Silicon Valley, right?
We were working on, I'll get to that in a second, but yeah, we were definitely at the very start of getting video, using some really cool techniques. I mean, we're talking a long time ago. So nowadays it's so ubiquitous. It's like, what's so innovative about that? But back then it was really cool, and It's still cool now.
It is. And so Ben brings this whole idea of live streaming interactive drum therapy groups to homebound veterans, which I loved. So by the end of that conversation, we realized this is something that he and I needed to start together. And so we did. We hit the ground running. Didn't take us all too long to get the business plan in place and all the stuff approved by the IRS. And we used a local, it's a national nonprofit, and we went to their local chapter. It's called SCORE. And highly recommended if you're thinking about starting a small business, or you have a small business and need some resources to grow your business. Think about scheduling a meetup with SCORE, because we had two mentors that were just fantastic, and it took us basically the minimum amount of time to get that IRS approval. Something that can take a year or more, we did it in like 3 months because we followed their advice. We had a very concise vision for Warrior Beat. We knew all the different areas that we wanted to focus on, and that's really important, is that singleness of purpose, singleness of vision, and we had that. And so we got it approved. Sisters of Charity, which is also a national organization, but we went to our local chapter here in Canton, Ohio. Sisters of Charity saw the value in our vision and gave us a grant for $10,000 to get drums. And then even before we had the grant and the drums, I had went to get trained in drum circle facilitation because I knew I had a stigma against drum circles myself. As a drum set player, like the idea of sitting and playing on a djembe in a drum circle was just not something I was familiar with. And the few times I'd done it, it was kind of the exact counterculture experience that I kind of looked. I don't care for it. I'm a drum set player. I don't play the djembe kind of thing. So I did some research because I figure there are some people who are doing drum therapy, maybe not specifically for veterans, and of course I came across a guy named Arthur Hall. And Arthur is really the godfather of the facilitated drum circle, and his organization, Village Music Circles, they're just fantastic. And so I went and trained with Arthur and took his facilitator course, and I'm so happy I did because Arthur's influence is all over what we do here at Warrior Beat. And also met John Fitzgerald, who was working for Remo at the time, and I knew we wanted a drum company to back us and back what we were doing, and Remo was our first choice because they make awesome drums. They make the best drum heads in the world. They're a major manufacturer, and also they have a very philanthropic side to their mission. Like Remo Belli was all about making drumming accessible to everybody. It wasn't just the elite drum set players touring the world. He wanted to see drums in homes across the world where people were using it, to improve their health, to improve their well-being, to just bring enjoyment to their lives. And so that, his heart and spirit are at the foundation of that company's mission. So I knew I want Remo to get behind us. And so I showed John this brochure, and he said, you know what, you get some money together to make that first drum purchase, and we'll make you a recreational music partner. And that's exactly what happened. So we've been with Remo now our entire 5 years. They got behind our vision before we even had the money to back our vision, which was really great, and their encouragement.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'll go back real quick. I'll keep this short because the technical stuff gets a little overwhelming sometime. But when he talks about streaming, like what we're talking about is like, how do we get this in front of people who can't otherwise participate? I mean, like we're talking people with physical and mental challenges, people who may not be able to leave their house for any number of reasons. And there's a really nice security sometimes in anonymity, being able to just sort of be at home and be able to participate without the pressures of actually having to socialize. And so that's where I came up. I really wanted to push this, and Trevor really embraced that. And not only did he embrace it, but it literally became almost like a 50% shareholder in how we sort of run our company, or this nonprofit, how we sort of really direct our stuff. There's a big presence with the streaming. And now with the pandemic, if you're watching this right now, we're in the middle of this pandemic of the 2020s, 2021. So a lot of 20s in there.
It was.
But also, to just kind of really quickly to give people a little bit more insight, Trevor, you talked about Remo Belli, you talked about Remo in general, and about how his philosophy was putting drums in the hands of as many people as possible. So my question to you is, and maybe a lot of people are thinking this, it's like, okay, so you've got this art therapy. I understand music, but why drumming versus piano? Why drumming versus guitar? Why drumming versus anything?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. And that's, one of my favorite things about drumming and drum therapy is that it's easily accessible by basically everybody. There's a ton of science behind why drumming works. Drumming is an evidence-based modality that brings a wide array of health benefits, and we're talking about balancing left and right hemispheres of the brain through a scientific theory that's called entrainment. So basically, a dominant rhythm is present, and all the smaller rhythms are going to lock into that dominant rhythm. So much, our bodies are always in a state of vibration, and so our hemispheres of our brains, our nervous system, things can begin to vibrate out of sync. And that's what starts to generate these feelings of a lot of anxiety, depression, our body's not regulating properly. So what we want to do is be able to quickly bring our body back into a state of harmonious vibration. And so through drumming, through entrainment, when we put out that dominant beat, we're able to lock in on that. Our bodies do. And that's not something we even have to be consciously aware of. This happens at that subconscious level. our bodies lock into that dominant rhythm very quickly. You'll see entrainment happen in a drum circle within the first 2 to 5 minutes. By 5 minutes, even the person who claims that they cannot, snap on the 1, 2, 3, and 4 is playing in perfect synchronization with everybody else in the circle. And that's another thing is drumming. Like I said, it doesn't take any prior skills at that instrument to have a very satisfying drum therapy session. Inevitably when I sit down to do drumming with veterans, I'm going to hear a few things in common. Well, I don't know how to play a drum. I won't be able to do this, and I have no rhythm. And what people find out is that's absolutely not true. Everybody has a rhythm. We have a heartbeat. We have our biological rhythms. And again, our heartbeat is very consistent. If it's not, go see a doctor, because that's a serious medical problem. And that also that even though they've never played before, very quickly we're able to teach them different tones that they can get out of the drums, different methods of playing that makes even the novice have a very satisfying musical experience. Also has a heavy impact on our vagal basal nervous system. It releases endorphins, so it's a natural form of pain management. And just sitting in community in a drum circle is going to provide a tremendous amount of connection, fellowship, interaction, and it also gives, a lot of times veterans have a hard time talking about what they're feeling. Maybe they don't have the words, maybe they don't want to say those words that they're feeling. Well, the drum gives them a way to non-verbally express very deep emotions. You can express any emotion under the sun, through your drumming, and through musical expression. And that's what we do at Warrior Beat is we teach veterans how to do that, how to express themselves at a very deep level. And then we also find that after a drum session, veterans are much easily able to express themselves verbally. So a lot of times what VAs are doing is they're using, even in just talk therapy sessions, just doing some one-on-one drumming with their veterans, using some of the techniques that we've developed here at Warrior Beat just to help their veterans open up. So it's again, just so much information. If you go to our website, warriorbeat.org, and go to the resources tab too, we have a bunch of studies, because I think when you're looking to bring Warrior Beat maybe into your VA or into your healthcare facility or to work with a specific group of people, having that evidence to be able to take to administration to show them like, hey, no, this isn't just about having fun, and it most certainly is. It's absolutely always a fun experience at the foundation of it, but there is a lot of science that backs why drumming is such an effective form of therapy, and it's immediate. That's the other thing. When you're suffering with depression, with pain, with anxiety, with cravings, if you struggle with substance abuse, you want something immediate, and when we can't find a way to quickly alleviate pain and suffering, we oftentimes turn to very dangerous self-destructive modes of self-medication like alcohol, drugs. It's no secret that a lot of veterans get hooked on painkillers and alcohol, things like that, because you can only spend so much time in pain before you just break down and say, I'll do anything to get rid of this. Well, drumming is as quick and effective way to alleviate all these symptoms. It's to me, it takes less time, and we get feedback from veterans that corroborate this, is that through drumming, within a couple of minutes, their pain is managed, their cravings, their anxiety, it works faster than a pill. Because we're looking for that immediate release, that immediate way to deal with pain. And drumming provides us pretty much with an immediate way to constructively and in a very healthy way, deal with the pain and the suffering that we're going through.
And Trevor just really succinctly just ran through everything drumming does. And the nice thing about what we do is we have a lot of confidence in what we do. So here's the cool thing about when you have a lot of confidence, I can tell you to right now go to Google and just type in anything like why drumming is good for mental health. And what you're going to get, and this is you're doing this. I'm not coaching you. I'm not sending you specific links, right? A lot of people will feed you information that they want you to see. If you go type this in, you're only going to get results from amazingly huge, reputable sources. We're talking Oxford, Stanford, Harvard. I mean, all the big research centers. Right now, I actually have it pulled up here. There's one here with a .gov. It's the National Institute of Health.gov, and it just says why drumming works for mental health. I we have the easiest job when it comes to kind of selling why this works, because there is no piece of evidence out there, scientific evidence that says this isn't good. The only weird part is, why are we the only people doing this? And
Sure.
the one thing I would stress too, again, is like when you look at art therapy out there, there's a lot of painting. Painting can be frustrating to learn. It can take a
Mm.
long time. It can be hard to sort of navigate. Playing the guitar can be frustrating to learn. Playing the piano can be frustrating to learn. Learning how to sculpt can be frustrating to learn. Drumming is amazing is because it's got this massive like skill spectrum. You can pick it up instantly, literally within the first second. And you can
Yep.
be a complete novice and start drumming instantly. And I really mean this. We have gone into places, and when Trevor goes around and he points to people and he goes, like, what's something that you want to tell us about the group? You'd be surprised how many people say, I have no rhythm. And
Mm.
we just laugh because it's like, oh man, don't even worry about it. Within 3 minutes, everybody will be drumming together. Don't worry about that. We will prove
That's
you
right.
wrong within like seconds. And then the other cool thing is, when you think about it, as far as the skill spectrum goes, as easy as it is to learn, if you want to dedicate yourself to drumming, you will soon realize that it also far surpasses anything that guitaring or piano, because you're using your whole body with drumming. Like guitaring, like playing guitar, certainly the masters are masters of it. But to become a master of drumming, the spectrum goes even further into those categories. So you can pick it up easily, and then you can spend your whole life trying to master it. So it's got something for pretty much everybody in there, for people who really. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that a lot of the veterans we work with, like maybe week 2, week 3, we're finding that they're playing their drum when we're not there.
Yes.
They're picking up the drum without instruction. They're trying to learn how to play it. We have veterans who they sign on to our stream in their cars
They do.
because they don't want to miss it. And they have their drum with them in their cars, playing it. They're stopping whatever they're doing for the day and they're joining us. We have people who are now starting to invest into the musicality, because the truth of the matter is drumming's not cheap. But if you sign up through the VA with us in the VA, you get a free drum. You
You do.
actually get a free Remo drum.
Looks just
Trevor
like
has
that.
one there. I have one here. I've modified this one a little bit.
You
Yours
have.
won't look like this,
Yeah.
but it is one of these. And not only are they getting this amazing free drum, which is not cheap, but now they're buying their own drums. Like that drum Trevor has in front of him right now, that djembe, they're buying those so that way they can play these drums at home. It's mind-boggling, because when you design something like this, you have a feeling that it's going to work. And Trevor and I do not have scientific backgrounds at all. We
Nope.
are artists.
Yep.
So unlike what we've learned the hard way, is like nonprofits are sort of run like businesses, in the same way that, like, you look at Elon Musk and you're like, oh, he runs 17 programs, and or 17 companies, and he creates all these companies and makes billions of dollars at them. Well, the really kind of weird, dirty truth is the same thing happens with nonprofits. You get in there and you realize there's nonprofit experts, and they run their nonprofits for profit.
Right.
And they go in and they build like these nonprofits like businesses. That's not Trevor and I. We are literally just artists with an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really weird for us to see people gravitate to this idea and to miss it. Like on those weird off days when we are unable to sort of supply it, people are like, where is it? We need it. We want this. We miss you guys. Please make this happen.
Yep.
Trevor was out in Spokane and we missed one class. Our veterans did the class on their own.
They did.
They made it happen on their own. Actually, that wasn't Spokane. We were doing a training session for employees, right? That's what it was.
Yeah, for Cleveland, yeah.
Yeah. So we were training VA employees. And during that training session, because we were busy training employees, our veterans, they did the class on their own because they didn't want to miss it. It felt so good. It's like, great. They're taking ownership of it.
Well, and I think you really bring up a great point there, Ben, is like, and I think you and I have known this from the beginning, is that Warrior Beat it's so much more than just the event of drumming. It really is a lifestyle or a movement, a rhythmic movement. Once you start working with one of our groups, you become a drummer, and we set it up. We want our veterans to pick up their drum whenever they want to change the way they're feeling, their state of being. Whether even if you're feeling good, it's like I want to enjoy this hour. I'm going to pick up my drum and I'm going to play. We want them to reach for that drum every day. Much like we did as young drummers. And that's what Warrior Beat's all about. And so we set it up. We have online subscription service. We have tons of free videos giving instruction. We have MP3 play-alongs. We have meditation tracks. Any way that we can support our veterans that we drum with and the staff, VA staff that we train as our facilitators, to make this not something they do an hour once a week. It's something that they do every day. I play my drum set or one of my musical instruments every day, whether I'm feeling great or whether I'm feeling a little bit down and want to feel better, I'm reaching for that instrument. And that's what we're training through Warrior Beat, training our veterans to do. They become drummers. They listen to music and hear music differently. They become in tune with all the rhythms that are always going on all around us. That's what's so fun. I mean, what I love about our drum gatherings is just to hear people's experience of, I'm hearing songs that I've heard 1,000 times, like I'm hearing it for the first time. I'm hearing all these different rhythmic structures that you're teaching us. Had no idea that they were doing something so simple, just like grape, grape, mango, grape. And then it's like I heard it in my favorite Stone song, or I heard it in my favorite country song. They just you become a deep listener, an appreciator of music. And music touches most people. I've only come across a few people in my lifetime who are just like, I'm not into music. Most of us are I know, it was very strange.
You're like,
very
who are
strange.
you?
Yeah, right. But most of us, we have the soundtrack that's always playing, underscoring our life.
Yep.
But oftentimes that soundtrack just becomes background noise. And through Warrior Beat, you learn to bring that soundtrack to the forefront and really enjoy it, and then change your soundtrack. If you don't like the way you're feeling, well, you get to create that underscore for your life, and it's going to help raise your energy levels. Get rid of that depression, get rid of that anxiety. Conquer that craving or moment where you think that you might be ready to make a bad decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And just really quickly, in case anybody's confused, I heard Trevor talking about grape, mango, grape.
Yeah.
That's for another podcast, but it's a really cool thing. I don't want to give too much away. Because it's a really cool topic, but there actually is something really cool associated with referencing those fruits. So stay tuned for that.
Wink, wink.
Wink, nudge. See you next week.
That's right.
Before we wrap things up here, because I really wanted episode 1 to sort of be an introduction. I always feel like it's a good idea to sort of get the basics out of the way, because the truth of the matter is, like, me and Trevor, we're like improv masters. We like to just kind of talk about things. We like movies, video games. We're nerds. I mean, we're like everybody out there.
Yeah.
We love, and obviously we love music. So, as we kind of move through this podcast over, its future lifespan, we're going to be introducing some of our music in there. We'll play some things for you. We'll get some people on here to talk with us about their experiences with it. We have some really interesting contacts out there who we may be able to pull in to chat with us. We want the people who listen to this to be, and we're inspired. See, we do this because we're inspired by life. And like a lot of people who are inspired, you're like, oh man, I want to give back some of that inspiration. So that's all we're trying to do in a lot of ways. It's like, we've been helped by things, and we have a skill set that we recognize that we're able to then sort of give back, and then hopefully help other people recognize they have the same skill set and that they can then start to give back. So the whole concept is sort of like, this big branching tree of helping people then who can then help others, and on and on and on. But before we kind of wrap things up here, let me just say, like, whenever you've got a nonprofit, people are like, well, how can you help? What can we do to help? We got some really cool things. I'll just mention real quick, and Trevor hit on this. We have the subscription service. If you go to warriorbeat.org, if you want to learn how to play hand drums, but at the same time support us, this is the perfect way to do it, because there is a subscription service that's either yearly or monthly, and you can just go ahead and subscribe to us. And You get this amazing course by our educational director, Mike Reyes, who is Sergeant First Class retired, Mike Reyes, and he will walk you through how to play the hand drums. And I mean that in plural, hand drums. What is it? It's djembe, cajon, conga. I think
Conga.
are the three big ones, right?
Yep, that is.
Yeah.
Those are the three main ones. Yes.
Yeah. And so you're going to learn how to play those. And at the same time, while you're learning, you're supporting us.
Yep.
Yay, we'll take it. And then Trevor, I mean, are there other ways that people can sort of reach out and kind of hook us up, so to speak?
Sure. You go to warriorbeat.org, go to our shop. We have meditation MP3s. Meditation is a big part of what we do. We've successfully combined drumming and meditation. And I think that's another podcast. So I'm not going to get into that because that's something I think that Warrior Beat has done uniquely that is really making benefit for our veterans, is teaching them how to meditate and using drumming as a gateway to that. But we have wonderful drumming and meditation MP3s on our website. So again, you download those, are like 99 cents a piece. That money goes to help our mission. You can just flat out donate money if you want to. We're not going to stop you. If you decide you just like to donate some money, we are a nonprofit, so everything is tax deductible. You can go to our shop. We have lots of great merchandise. People love our logo. Ben's created a very powerful and nuanced logo. There's a lot into the Warrior Beat logo, but people love it. And so we have some great T-shirts, shirts, all kinds of merchandise on our website. I suggest checking it out. But again, purchasing those go a long way to help our mission as well. And if you are part of a VA medical center and you're thinking, I would love to have you guys come here and train us on how to do drum therapy, which is one thing that we do. We travel to VAs across the country, training staff how to do drum therapy with the veteran groups that they're already working with. Reach out to us on through the website, and let's get us in there. Let us help you bring that healing power of drumming to your veterans.
Absolutely. I'm just going to reiterate that if you work at a VA, just contact us. That's all you have to do. I mean, it's like, we'll see if it's a fit. So far, it's always been a fit.
Yeah, that's
Whole
right.
health is a very strong movement that we totally have a lot of support for, and aside of our own organization here, we totally support everything whole health. And we do this for both the veterans themselves and the employees.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot we do here for the employees too, because let's face it, over the past 2 years specifically, it's been a lot of stress. I mean, just in the last few months, we've had a lot of conversations with people on nursing staffs and medical staffs, and you can just see the strain. You can see and hear the strain. Yep.
Absolutely.
So we have things where we just drum with the staff, and
We do.
It's just there to help you release everything that's going on there, and it's just about your own mental health too. So
It is.
think about that as well. So yeah, I will just say really quickly, because I'm the shill of the company. I got to get out there and make sure that we get this thing rolling, keep it going for us and for you. warriorbeat.org/donate. There's a store up there. All that music. There's like a 30-minute drum feast by Trevor, which is absolutely insane. So if you get a drum, or you have a drum, or you want to experience drumming, maybe you're just kind of like, well, what's this about? Go get that drum feast track and play along to it. It's absolutely insane. And then he hint on the meditation, which is definitely another podcast. That's a huge part. And in fact, in some ways, when we do our drumming, it's kind of 50-50 split. Some people really love the drumming. Some people really love the meditation. It's like those are two very intrinsic parts of what we've done here. So there's some drumming meditation tracks up there too. So check those out. 99 cents. And that, like I said, that money just basically supports us. And we're, I'm just going to be honest. When you are a nonprofit, once you've reached that Wounded Warrior, or you've reached that, United Way or the March of Dimes threshold where you're making millions of dollars, the money just comes. It's automatic. People just say, well, I know where I can sign my check to, and it just goes. When you're like Warrior Beat, which is fairly small still, we do a lot of stuff just basically by the soles of our shoes. Like there's a lot of stuff Trevor and I do that we just do because we're just going to do it. We do not, if I was able to pan our cameras to our driveways. We do not have fancy cars.
No, we
You can
don't.
see behind me, I forgot to even close my cabinet so you can see up there all the stuff. We are not a massively funded, there's not a lot of money funneling into us. So every dollar really does make a difference. We are at that point. We mean it. So
Yes.
we appreciate all of your support. So that's my job, is to ask you, beg you, please support us, because then we can support the people who rely on us. And then I'm going to let Trevor, I'm going to give you the last word.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, again, thanks for joining us. Definitely continue to join us on these podcasts. So you're going to learn more about drumming, more about meditation, more about our mission to work with veterans. And if you're a veteran yourself, and never be afraid to reach out for help.
Mm-hmm.
There is strength in admitting that you need help, and there's
Yeah.
a ton of great resources for veterans. Warrior Beat, and just seeing firsthand the quality of care at the VA healthcare system. It's not the VA of the 1980s and even early 90s. It's a
Mm-hmm.
completely different experience. So take advantage of those benefits that you've earned. And again, never hesitate to reach out to us. We would love to make some music with you. So yeah, thanks for sticking with us today and listening to us. And we look forward to doing this again next week.
Absolutely. Take care. Oh, and be sure to
Yep.
like and subscribe. That helps a lot too.
Yes, it does.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. See you soon.